The world watched in disbelief as Russian tanks rolled across the Ukrainian border in February 2022. The invasion marked the beginning of a conflict that would reshape the geopolitical landscape and test the resolve of nations around the globe. What began as a lightning strike aimed at decapitating the Ukrainian government quickly morphed into a grinding war of attrition. The initial shock and awe of the invasion gave way to brutal urban warfare, with cities like Mariupol and Kharkiv becoming symbols of resistance and devastation. Putin's gamble, predicated on a swift victory and a fractured West, backfired spectacularly. The Russian military, once thought to be an unstoppable force, faced logistical nightmares and fierce Ukrainian resistance. Western leaders, initially divided, found common ground in their opposition to the invasion. The invasion, launched under the pretense of denazifying and demilitarizing Ukraine, was met with fierce resistance. Ukrainian soldiers, many of whom were civilians just months before, took up arms to defend their homeland. The blue and yellow flag of Ukraine became a symbol of defiance and hope. The Ukrainian people, led by the defiant Volodymyr Zelensky, chose to fight for their homeland. Zelensky, a former comedian turned wartime president, became a global icon of resilience. His nightly addresses to the nation and the world galvanized support and inspired his people to stand firm. The West, initially caught off guard, rallied behind Ukraine, providing military aid, humanitarian assistance, and imposing crippling sanctions on Russia. Advanced weaponry, financial support, and humanitarian aid flowed into Ukraine, bolstering its defenses and sustaining its people. As the conflict enters its third year, the initial shock has given way to a grim reality. The war has become a protracted struggle with no clear end in sight. Cities lie in ruins, and the human cost continues to mount. The war has claimed hundreds of thousands of lives, displaced millions, and left Ukraine's economy and infrastructure in ruins. The human toll is staggering, with families torn apart and communities shattered. The refugee crisis has strained neighboring countries and highlighted the urgent need for a resolution. The geopolitical landscape has been irrevocably altered, with the specter of nuclear escalation looming large. The conflict has reignited Cold War-era tensions, with world leaders grappling with the possibility of a broader confrontation. The threat of nuclear weapons has cast a long shadow over diplomatic efforts. This essay examines the gains and losses of Putin's war, exploring its impact on Ukraine, Russia, and the world. The conflict has reshaped alliances, tested the limits of international law, and forced a re-evaluation of global security strategies. As the world watches and waits, the lessons of this war will reverberate for generations to come. Putin's initial objectives were ambitious. He aimed to capture Kyiv, overthrow the Zelensky government, and install a pro-Russian puppet regime. He sought to neutralize Ukraine as a sovereign nation and prevent its integration with NATO and the European Union. Russian forces launched a multi-pronged offensive, targeting key cities and military installations across Ukraine. They made significant initial gains, capturing the Chernobyl exclusion zone, advancing towards Kyiv from the north, and seizing territory in the south, including the strategic port city of Kherson. The Russian military, however, underestimated the strength of Ukrainian resistance and the resolve of the Ukrainian people. They also overestimated their own capabilities, facing logistical challenges, low morale, and unexpectedly stiff resistance. The Ukrainian people, from soldiers on the front lines to civilians taking up arms, mounted a fierce defense of their homeland. Their resolve was unyielding, and their spirit indomitable. Every man, woman, and child played a part in this monumental struggle, showcasing a unity that was both inspiring and formidable. They were bolstered by a constant flow of Western weapons, including anti-tank missiles and drones, which proved highly effective against Russian armor. These advanced weapons systems provided a significant edge, allowing Ukrainian forces to counter the superior numbers of the Russian military. The international community's support was not just in words, but in tangible, life-saving equipment. Ukrainian forces launched successful counter-offensives, pushing Russian troops back from Kyiv, retaking the city of Kharkiv, and liberating significant territory in the south, including the crucial Kherson region. These victories were not just strategic, but also symbolic, rekindling hope and boosting morale among the Ukrainian populace. Each liberated town and city was a testament to their resilience and determination. They employed a combination of conventional and guerrilla tactics, exploiting Russia's logistical weaknesses and leveraging their knowledge of the terrain. Ambushes, hit-and-run attacks, and sabotage missions disrupted Russian supply lines and communication networks, creating chaos and confusion within enemy ranks. This hybrid warfare strategy was crucial in leveling the playing field. The Ukrainian resistance became a symbol of defiance against Russian aggression, inspiring global admiration and support. Around the world, people rallied in solidarity, holding protests, creating art, and raising funds to support the Ukrainian cause. This international wave of support underscored the universal desire for justice and peace. It showcased the power of national unity and the determination to defend freedom and sovereignty. The collaboration between soldiers and civilians, the peaceful demonstrations of national pride, and the unwavering spirit of the Ukrainian people were a powerful reminder that the fight for freedom is a collective effort. Their story is one of courage, resilience, and an unbreakable will to protect their homeland. The war in Ukraine has exacted a devastating human toll. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers on both sides have been killed or wounded. Civilian casualties number in the tens of thousands, with countless others displaced from their homes. The war has created a humanitarian crisis, with millions in need of food, water, shelter, and medical care. The psychological trauma inflicted on the Ukrainian people will have long-lasting consequences. Section 5. A nation scarred economic and infrastructural devastation. The ongoing conflict has left an indelible mark on Ukraine, reshaping its economic landscape and infrastructure. The war has crippled the Ukrainian economy, leading to a severe downturn that has affected every sector. Key industries have been decimated, with factories lying in ruins and farmlands abandoned. Agricultural production, once a backbone of the economy, has plummeted drastically, and infrastructure has been reduced to rubble. Streets that once buzzed with activity are now filled with debris and the remnants of bombed buildings. The World Bank estimates that Ukraine's economy will contract by 45.1% in 2022, a staggering figure that underscores the depth of the crisis. Russia has targeted civilian infrastructure, including power plants, leading to widespread power outages and a crippled energy sector. Hospitals and schools have not been spared, with many healthcare facilities and educational institutions lying in ruins in an attempt to break the spirit of the Ukrainian people. The emotional toll on civilians is immense, as they navigate the daily challenges of a war-torn nation. The destruction of infrastructure has exacerbated the humanitarian crisis, displacing millions and creating a dire need for aid and support. Rebuilding efforts will require billions of dollars, with construction crews working tirelessly to restore some semblance of normalcy. The war has also had a significant impact on global food security, as Ukraine's role as a major exporter has been severely disrupted. Ukraine is a major exporter of wheat, and the conflict has led to a sharp decline in agricultural exports, including corn and sunflower oil. These disruptions have had a ripple effect on the global food market, contributing to rising food prices worldwide and highlighting the interconnectedness of global supply chains. The war in Ukraine is not just a regional conflict. Its repercussions are felt across the globe, affecting economies and lives far beyond its borders. As of February 2025, the war in Ukraine has reached a stalemate. Front lines have largely solidified, with both sides entrenched in defensive positions. Russia still occupies parts of eastern and southern Ukraine, but its advance has been halted. The conflict has transitioned into a war of attrition, with both sides exchanging artillery fire and launching limited offensives. The situation remains volatile, with the potential for escalation always present. The war in Ukraine has had profound global repercussions. It has shattered the post-Cold War security architecture in Europe, leading to a renewed focus on NATO expansion and military spending. The West has imposed unprecedented sanctions on Russia, targeting its financial system, energy sector, and oligarchic elite. These sanctions have isolated Russia economically and diplomatically, but their long-term impact remains to be seen. The war has also highlighted the fragility of the global order and the threat posed by authoritarian regimes. It has sparked a debate about the future of democracy and the need to defend democratic values. The war in Ukraine is a tragedy for all involved. It is a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict and the importance of diplomacy and dialogue. The road to peace will be long and arduous, but it is the only path to ending the suffering. The international community must continue to provide humanitarian assistance to Ukraine and support its reconstruction efforts. It must also maintain pressure on Russia to end its aggression and engage in meaningful peace negotiations. The war in Ukraine has profoundly transformed the geopolitical landscape. It has shattered illusions of peace and stability, exposing the fragility of the global order. The conflict has also revealed the resilience of the human spirit, as demonstrated by the Ukrainian people's unwavering defense of their homeland. Their courage and determination serve as a beacon of hope in a world facing unprecedented challenges. As the war grinds on, the international community must work tirelessly to achieve a just and lasting peace. The future of Ukraine and indeed the world depends on it.